There you go. Man, I really need like two monitors so I can like keep track of this recording, but I can't see. All right. Okay. So we all three of us watched the first two episodes of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. What did you guys think? What did you guys think? Did you like it? Did you enjoy it? Was it boring, or was it not boring?
Yeah.
I don't think it was boring. It was different than what I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
I thought it was going to be a little bit comical and like good cop, bad cop type of Disney show.
Mm-hmm.
It did feel more like a Marvel movie. And yeah, what was your other question?
No, just
Sorry.
if you thought it was, just an initial thoughts. Um.
Oh, yeah, pretty good for what I thought it was going to be.
Okay. And you, Eddie?
Yeah, that was great. I mean, we'll see where they go from here, but I like the way they started it out. It was, not just like the interesting question is the, um, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say humility. I mean, it's humility of Sam, like, um, passing on the shield, but more like, you know, deserving. Is he, he needs to earn it, that kind of thing. It's a really good question. And then they throw a wrench in there at the end of episode one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But I
yeah.
like what they're doing. We can talk about this like maybe like when the whole thing is out. But I like it's really good. I think it's really good strategy that what Marvel is doing with like these lesser Avengers. They're not like the main five or whatever. They're building them up so that when they come out in movies and stuff like that, they're um, familiar and they have like a strong place in our hearts, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because otherwise, like Falcon's gonna be the main star of like Avengers 4 or whatever. Like it would be off putting.
It's weird though because I kind of feel like the fact that it's a TV show kind of goes against like its message in a sense. Or at least the message it seems to try, which is that this is an important like story that needs to be told, but because it's being told as a TV show, that it kind of has like that expectation of it being lesser than a movie in a sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's just kind of funny like how the capitalism aspect of it kind of contradicts like the message. But yeah, I've liked it so far, and I think one of the things I really liked was just how tied to like real life history it was, which I thought was interesting, and it's done with a lot of like smart connections that are made into like MCU lore, even though like you have real world equivalents that happen around the same time. Um, but yeah, all right. So getting with the first episode. Hold on, I need to open Wikipedia. Let me see here. Wikipedia. Uh, Falcon, Winter Soldier. So, one question. Since it's only six episodes, episode one and two are basically like, act one, right, of this like three-act story. I kind of feel like these two episodes, like, and maybe it's a problem with what, with with what WandaVision was trying to do, but I felt like these two episodes did a lot more in their 40 minutes than WandaVision did, like in its first two, like 20-minute episodes. You know what I mean?
how much of that would you say is because of the time? Like this was basically 4 episodes of One Division.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because I don't know why they gave themselves that limit, or if it was a self-imposed limitation. I'm not sure. Um, with WandaVision, um, because like because if they were longer, it would have fit kind of like that more procedural nature of the show instead of it like only focusing on like one little event that happens. But
Yeah.
uh, I don't know. I still, I think ultimately that's why I like these two episodes more than WandaVision so far. Like I feel like by the time the series is over, I think I'm gonna like this more than WandaVision. Because if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah,
I gave WandaVision like a 7.5 or something like that. I think this one might be like an 8.5 so far.
yeah,
That's
part of that was part of the critique about WandaVision that it just started so slow,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
This one, it jumps right into the end of, I mean, pretty much, uh, like they beat Thanos at Endgame, and then they jump right into Falcon and Winter Soldier. And same thing with WandaVision, but WandaVision didn't feel like that.
Yeah. WandaVision takes place like 3 weeks after, and this one takes place 6 months. So still before Far From Home.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Far From Home doesn't start until the 7 months or 8 months, so it's like a month or two later. So and you know what's really interesting is that I was looking up that originally this was going to be the first show that they were going to release, but because of COVID, this show got affected more than the other shows because it had more like location like shooting and stuff like that, so more like COVID protocols they had to go through and everything. But this was intended to be the first show to be released. And WandaVision actually wasn't supposed to come out until before Doctor Strange came out, which like obviously that's not the case anymore, right? Because Black Widow's coming out pretty soon. So I don't know. It's interesting how much it's changed, but it kind of makes sense. This show is obviously a lot more like the MCU than WandaVision is, so I could kind of see their strategy from there. So going into the first episode, New World Order. What did you guys think about Sam's like speech about like heroes and like how? Because I thought he brought up an interesting point about like how, symbols aren't what they mean without the heroes that stood for them. Yeah, I don't.
What do we think about that?
Yeah. What do you think about that? Because I felt that was kind of like the main theme of the first episode, especially given that like the consequence of him kind of like
Giving up the shield.
giving up the shield, and sticking to that belief is what causes the cliffhanger ending.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it's it's a valid point. I mean, the symbols are powerful, right? But symbol like if if you don't have the meaning, the idea behind that symbol, then symbols can be changed. And I think it's kind of interesting because I hadn't really put too much thought into it, but I wonder, if you kind of cheapen, it's possible to like cheapen a symbol or abuse it by putting it with something that doesn't fit the original ideals. So that might be the direction that they're going with John Walker. I don't know too much about him. I know he does take the shield in the comics. He does take the mantle of Captain America, but from what I understand, he's kind of like a jerk. He doesn't look like a jerk right now, but in the comics he is.
Oh, he kind of did in the second episode.
Oh yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I mean, compared to Steve, right?
Yeah. I mean, so just to sum up, symbols are powerful. Symbols, like if Cap didn't need the shield to make him Cap. He didn't have the shield until like the end, like halfway through Endgame, right?
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing. So with the shield, he's even more, like it's more powerful. But the idea behind it, in this case, the man behind it, is what makes the shield.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because like Bucky asks in episode 2, he asks John, right? That's his name, John Walker. He asks Walker, have you ever jumped on a grenade before? And he's like, yeah, it's like this thing I do with my helmet, which is funny because it shows that like the U.S. military has taken like that action that Steve did and has like kind of like trained it, but not in the way in a way that loses like its actual like intention. You know what I mean? because the whole point was that he jumped on it to save everybody because
Sacrifice himself, basically.
yeah, for all he knew, it was gonna blow up. So, which is different from like, oh, let me put my helmet that won't, explode here.
He won't
So,
sacrifice me.
exactly, yeah, exactly.
So he kind of compares himself to Captain America, but you can see immediately like where he falls short.
Yeah, yeah. And it's really interesting because I really liked how they build up like when you see him, he's kind of like, and when you first see him, he's very similar to like Steve, right? Like he's nervous, like he's like, I just want to be the best, Captain America that I can be, but I don't know. Yeah, he's really humble about it and everything. But obviously over the course of the episode, you see how there's like the little cracks that are starting to show, and yeah, you're right. In the comics, he's the Patriot or something like that.
I think he's just U.S. agent or something. I think that's what I remember.
Oh yes, U.S. agent, and then eventually he takes on Captain America's. And what's interesting is that the costume that he's wearing is actually very similar to the actual costume he wore once Captain America was gone. Except instead of being black and red, it's blue and red. But other than that, like the design and everything, it's pretty much one for one.
I was gonna say when Pearl and I were watching that, she was like, I mean, like they're trying, they try really hard to make him look at it like a good guy, but at the same time showing that there's something beneath the surface. And one of the things that Pearl said, was like, oh, I hate his costume. Like you can see, like, I mean, it's not the Captain America costume, so I guess it is. I guess it is technically officially the Captain America costume, but you can see like how at the same time Marvel is trying to make you see that something's off.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, like it doesn't look right. It doesn't like. Also, it kind of feels like the costume doesn't fit him. Like, just like yeah, the headpiece like it. And I wonder if they did that on purpose, just to kind of like make it feel like just that little bit more off, or like it doesn't really naturally fit him like the way it did Chris Evans, or at least the way it eventually did with Chris Evans. Because I would say he looked kind of silly in first Avengers, from what I remember.
Kind of like the knockoff version of Captain America. Right?
Yeah.
General version, yeah.
And what was so crazy was when he started like name dropping like the Avengers, and he was like, I don't know Banner, I'm not Tony Stark, and I never knew Steve Rogers, but he was my hero, and he
was a brother to me.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, and then it cuts to Bucky, and Bucky is just like, just thinking the same thing everyone else is thinking. You're not the real Captain America. But I do like that Sam, like, I want your opinion on this, both of you guys. How do you feel with Sam being such kind of like a strong character in terms of his beliefs? Like, he's kind of stubborn in a sense, but I kind of like the fact that he is.
I think he has to be. I mean, they're building towards. It's supposed to be Sam, right? He's supposed to be the one that takes the shield, and that is one of Captain America's like strongest, like Steve Rogers, one of his strongest qualities. So I mean, it kind of fits.
Yeah, that's true. He is stubborn. Yeah, I just realized that in Civil War, right? So
yeah, in Civil War. This kind of like never give up mentality too, like taking Thanos by himself head on in Infinity War kind of thing.
Oh yeah, that was crazy.
Taking Thanos, shield broken, but right before everybody comes and jumps in, like I can do this all day kind of thing. And then Sam parallels that. We haven't seen any major like that level of fight since Infinity War, but you can kind of see the same mentality with the boat. Trying to save his family's boat.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. What did you think about his character so far? Just because you said that you didn't really like. Well, not that you didn't care, but you just were like, you didn't really know who like these characters were too much, which makes sense because
side characters.
Yeah, because in total they have like 10 minutes of screen time throughout the entire MCU. So
that's crazy.
Yeah. So they don't really come out a lot, but
Yeah.
What do you think of Sam's character so far? Now that you've gotten to explore more of like his backstory and um, Jessica.
I think it was Eddie that was saying earlier that at first it was kind of weird, like Disney giving the side characters like their own shows. I'm like, but for what? They're not important. But then once they give them their side shows, you get to know them behind the character, right? So I thought Sam is just like Captain America's sidekick, best friend, you know. Besides Bucky, so seeing like the episode with his sister and how much he cares and how he really didn't think he was worth having the shield and being Captain America. I honestly thought that's what the show was going to be about, like him taking on the role. I didn't right away when he gave it away. I was like, what is happening? But yeah, he's very humble. I guess he really, how you said, like the symbol. It wasn't just the symbol of Captain America. It was Steve and like his heart. And I guess he felt he wasn't there. But as we're seeing a little bit about his life, he does have heart. He does have commitment. And so I'm liking his character in these, what, 2 episodes? Yeah. Even Bucky, too.
Oh, yeah.
A different side. Yeah. Has a
There-
different side than what we've seen previously.
Yeah, I love what they do with Bucky and Sam, like in the second episode, like the kind of like banter they have, like as like buddy cops, like, and then they have like,
I mean, it's like, I mean, I don't. It makes sense once they explain it, but at the same time, like you see this kind of like animosity, like they're brothers between themselves, right?
yeah,
But that's something
Yeah.
that, I mean, it kind of came out of left field because they didn't really, like the way they ended Infinity War. It was like, yeah, we're good with each other, whatever.
yeah,
And then they explain why later, because Bucky is really like, I mean, it's not just a little thing that Sam gave up the shield.
yeah. But I do like that Sam kind of like sticks his ground and says like, no, you know, don't tell me like blah 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 blah, because in a lot of ways, like, yeah, he was kind of like in a crappy situation, in a sense that like, you know, he was a like black man having to take on the shield and everything, and that's kind of like, you know, and he trusted the government, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it kind of makes sense, right? Because he's been doing all these missions for whoever knows how long, so, you know, why wouldn't he, right? But obviously, you know, it was trust not well founded, right? But I do like, so there is this article that I read that was called how Captain America shows the banality of white supremacy. And I thought it was interesting because banality means like kind of like right? And it's interesting, it's that like even though it's not overt, right? But you can kind of still see kind of like not just in how they choose John Walker. Hold on, somebody texted me. Oh, okay. Not just how they choose John Walker to be Captain America, right? Another blonde, blue-eyed, you know, 6 foot, whatever, white man, right? But also in how they just casually don't tell Sam, you know, that's what they're doing and stuff. Like, it's kind of like not realizing. I don't know if I would put it as high as like white supremacy, right? But it's like almost like the banality of like just racism in a sense. You know what I mean? Where like they're not respecting Sam as an individual by not telling him, but also by thinking that America needs to have like a white Captain America instead of like, well, you know, whoever is going to be best or whatnot. Although supposedly John Walker is like super good, like as physically capable as possible in a sense, from what they show in his and also he's like throwing the shield and stuff, which I thought only few people could do, but I guess he can do it too. So, because in the movies only Hawkeye and does Sam ever throw it? I don't think so, right? Or does he? I don't remember.
I can't.
But I know Hawkeye does, and Bucky catches it when he's Winter Soldier. But yeah, I don't know. But I don't know. I thought it was interesting because I tend to agree that the show is starting to show that, like it's starting to lean more into that kind of like the whole racism aspect of his situation and everything. And I think it's interesting. I think so far the show has handled it, you know, pretty well. You know, even when it gets a little bit more heavy-handed, like for example when the cops just stop him in the middle of the street, which it's not like it's not something that doesn't happen. It's just in the time of day and situation it happens, that's not something that, well, from what I know, doesn't really happen. But it is something that I know that there is like a situation, and a lot of different franchise, not franchise, but different stories I've used it, where there is a story of this cop who like stopped somebody who was just talking to somebody, ended up shooting the person, and I've seen it used in Life is Strange too, and now they're using that same like thing here. So it's an interesting way to try and tie it to the reality or history of our world in a sense by having these like events happen to Sam, which it makes me wonder if he's going to go through anything else too beyond, or if that's just like this throwaway kind of scene. Hopefully not, but because I think they could do something really cool with it if they stick the landing. But what do you guys think? I already talked a lot about the whole racism angle and stuff, but and you know it's funny. Sorry, I was just gonna say one other thing. It's funny because a lot of people say like, you know, I don't want, you know, my show or movie to be political and stuff, but Captain America is purely political. You know what I mean? Like, he's always been surrounded in politics, whether he was being used as a propaganda tool back in the 40s, or whether or not he's, you know, what side he was on the Accords during Civil War and stuff. So, but yeah, just want
I'd
to
even
say
argue that he's being used as a political tool right now, like the new Captain America. People needed hope, so they just kind of like, what do we have lying around? Okay, you're going to be our new symbol for hope, kind of thing.
Well, yeah, you know, it's funny you say that. They when John Walker comes out in the field, they're playing the same song they played in part 1, the Star Spangled Man with a Plan, but it's like a more modern rendition of it from the first movie. But yeah, just
It's a rehab. I mean, that's part of. I will talk about like the whole racism aspect in a little bit, but that's part of like. I mean, I was thinking that, and you think, you know, how often, you know, people try and fill a void. You know what I mean? And whatever fills that void, even if it's something that's not as fulfilling, you just want to remove that emptiness. People miss Captain America. They miss Steve Rogers, and the government's like, okay, and just completely missing the mark, right? You want Captain America, we're gonna give you Captain America, and then they pull out this guy, and Marvel's building towards, you know, well, it's not fulfilling. It's just like they're empty calories. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, on the aspect of, I don't want to, I don't see it. Maybe I will. Like, maybe we can connect the dots a little bit better, but I don't see not telling Sam about the new Captain America is in necessarily racist. I would need to see it. Maybe if I watch it again. That just seems like normal, you know, kind of like douchey government stuff, keeping their secrets and all that stuff. But I definitely do.
But I guess I wonder if they would have done the same thing if he was like a white, blue-eyed, blonde,
Possibly,
6
I
foot.
wouldn't say that. I wouldn't
Like it
So
makes you wonder if he basically looked like John Walker, right? Would the government not have tried to convince him or something? That's another thing. The government doesn't even try to convince him. Like, hey, are you sure you want to give up the shield? You know.
I mean, that's true. But I mean, it still like seems like a stretch to me. I would need to see more. But definitely, I mean, I see it in terms of the scene with Bucky and Sam, where they get pulled over almost, kind of. And also, I think they're going to touch on. I'm sure they'll touch on it more. That scene with Isaiah, the other super soldier,
Which is actually tied to a real historical crisis that happened. But go on.
Yeah,
I'll tell you.
yeah. No, I'm sure they'll touch on that, the racism aspect of that more, and I'm more interested in seeing how that develops. Because yeah, he was in prison, right? They say he was in prison for like 30 years or something like that.
Yeah, he was, and it was all due to kind of like the tests that they were running on him, and not just him, but other African Americans. And I was looking it up, and it's actually tied to like this something that happened. I want to say it was during Vietnam, where like there's a lot of African Americans who were tested with like syphilis without being told and well, it ruined their lives in a lot of ways. So that's like the real world correlation with that, which I thought was interesting because yeah, I mean, it levels it in a sense of reality of like people saying, well, this can't happen. Well, it kind of did.
Yeah.
Minus any of the benefits, like of being strong and stuff. Yeah. Which I thought that was crazy when I looked it up. I was like, what? But yeah. I mean, basically from what we hear, not only that, I think in the comics he was the first Black Captain America.
Yeah, I think I heard about that.
But obviously, yeah, Isaiah. But obviously in this story, it's about Falcon and Winter Soldier, so I don't know if they'd ever do like a prequel series or something, but he was like the first one, and then they stopped using him and then arrested him and everything, and I don't know if he ever comes back again in the comics.
In the comics.
Yeah, but I know that his grandson that's there, I think it's his grandson. Yeah, it can't be his son. His grandson that's there is he becomes the next Falcon in the comics, the one who answered the door. Yeah. So, which might happen, right? If Falcon takes up the mantle of, and I think that might happen. I almost feel like John Walker will probably be dealt with before we go to the Flag Smashers and Zemo, but I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean he's got to because the show has to end with Sam taking the shield.
Yeah.
So I don't think he'd take it. Maybe like before the finale. That would be like maybe you said there's 6 episodes, maybe episode 5.
Yeah, and I have to say like one aspect that I really like about what they're one aspect that I really like about what you're doing is that we've already had like a lot of time with Steve Rogers, Captain America, right? And Captain America is a symbol that can be passed on because he's not immortal like Superman. So I kind of like that they're starting to go into this, and it just feels like kind of natural instead of like forced. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like compared to like say DC. Although supposedly DC's Superman is gonna be the Superman from Earth 22, Calvin Ellis. So, but even then, it still feels like DC is taking like shortcuts to get there, just like they did with the DCEU, really. But I like here. It's like I feel like, and I'm pretty sure most people don't, but I feel like if anyone has a problem with like the aspect of Sam taking up the mantle, I think that's where you can. If someone does have a problem with that, I think that's where it's like, are you sure you're not racist? No, sorry. Just because you've had like your time with Chris Evans, and obviously he's not gonna do it forever, right?
Well, I think it's really masterful at the way they're handling it. I mean, first because there's people who wanted Bucky to be Captain America, which wouldn't be unreasonable. I think he did. The Winter Soldier did take the shield for a while, but it's like I love the way they're doing it because it is going to go to Sam, right? And so what they're doing is they're showing us what could happen, right? Okay, you don't want Sam. This is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, like okay, well, maybe Sam isn't that bad. And then we see him in action, and hopefully he's, like just badass.
Yeah.
And he'll become the new Captain America.
Yeah. So what do you think, Jessica? We've been talking a lot about the political aspect of it.
Definitely what Eddie said, that like we all have like okay, so I feel like the government doesn't give you courtesy calls, so I kind of don't see that.
Oh wait, you're cutting off.
Cutting off a little bit.
Wait, hold on. I don't know if she can hear us.
Racist.
It's like totally cut off.
Like that. I'm not calling them. But it. Oh, am I? Okay, tell me why.
Yeah, you're cutting off. Well, now you're cutting off. You're speaking in slow motion.
Yeah, it's. I don't know what happened. It's the image is like stuck with you.
Okay. Can y'all hear me now? Not really.
Okay, yeah, say something. Testing, 1, 2, 3.
There?
Yeah. Okay.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
That's a little bit better. It's a little
Yes,
off
so-
A little
sync,
bit of a
but
delay.
Okay. That's so funny because you guys. No? Yeah.
There's a little delay.
Can you hear me now?
yeah. It's just a little delayed,
Okay,
but it's
yeah, 'cause
good.
you guys are breaking up. Yeah, you guys were breaking up for a bit. That's how I was just like. Not being quiet.
Sorry. So start from the beginning because we
Okay,
definitely missed
yeah.
all that.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so I was saying, what did I say? Okay, I said that I felt like it would have been nice had they given Sam a courtesy call, but it is the government. They just do and move on. But what I do want to know is how long did it take them to give the shield to John Walker? That's his name, right, John? Yeah. How long? Do they say? Is it like weeks or?
They don't really.
Feels like it's the next day. I don't know if that's actually true.
No, I mean I think it's probably like a week or two, but
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because like maybe from Sam's point of view, I felt like he was a little betrayed because they're like, oh, thank you for giving us the shield back. You did the right thing, and then they put it on display, and then next thing you know, there's a new Captain America. What happened to him and Bucky was horrible. That obviously was a bit of racism, and once they knew who he was, oh, we're sorry. Well, no, you shouldn't be doing that to begin with.
yeah.
And
And they
then
only
it did
stopped
cross
because
my
he's an
mind,
Avenger, so that's
Yeah.
even worse.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then when they went to go see Isaiah and he said he was in jail, I'm like, well, why wasn't Bucky in jail? Well, I mean, he was frozen for time too, right? But what it kind of goes to show you, they both did the same job, but yet the black man was the one who went to jail, and the white man, well, was out and about. What else did I say before I kept freezing?
I guess
What
what
was
do
your other
what do
question?
you think of the whole racism angle that it is attacking in terms of with
Oh,
Isaiah and
I think no matter what, it's a subject that has to come up because he is black, and I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that does happen to him on a daily basis, and obviously, I think it would be dishonest not to include not even a glimpse of it on the show. But I think what Eddie was saying, we all want, Chris Evans, Steve Rogers as Captain America. And so when he was passing the mantle down to Sam, you're like, oh, but now when you see who they gave it to, oh, you're like, oh, no, Sam does deserve it. But what I also thought was great that they added was showing that Bucky and Sam together did therapy. I think it's super important that they brought in mental illness and that it's okay for men to be there talking, whether they want to or not. But I thought that was actually great that they brought it in, and that people need to see that they also need help. These superheroes.
I thought it was great. It was a way of showing like how just showing that men can talk about problems without having to be all like weird about it, right? Because like we're all friends, right? And everyone has problems. We're all human, and at the end, whether male or female, right? And I like how they do like make it funny and stuff with how close they have to like sit next to each other and everything.
Right.
But it was really eye opening, right? Because you get to see like why Bucky was like mad. Because I was kind of I was confused, but I was wondering what his reason was gonna be, and like I can see like
Makes sense.
yeah, right, like letting go of of something, not realizing like how much power it has in terms of like a symbol and everything. You know what I thought was really interesting was how Walker, I don't know if he was, I guess maybe it's more him being rude, but how he tells Sam like I know it would help me a lot if I had Cap's wingman by my side.
Yeah.
And then Sam is like, it's always that line, man. And then he just like leaves, and I wonder if that's because like between him and Captain America never saw him like as a wingman. He saw him as like an equal.
Yeah, an equal.
And John Walker seeing him as like a sidekick in a sense. which yeah.
Yeah, I think it's already getting to his head that I'm Captain America type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you know? This is totally off topic, but John Walker is played by Wyatt Russell, who's the son of Kurt Russell.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I can. Yeah, see the
Another
resemblance.
Marvel tie.
Say what?
Another Marvel tie.
Oh, that's true, right? Because Kurt Russell was
Ego.
yeah, Ego, the birth father of Peter Quill. I can't believe I forgot. Oh man. So lastly, we have the Flag Smashers. I was looking up like what becomes of them in the comics, but what do you guys think about like these? I thought it was interesting. There's a part where they stop like a shipment, and I wonder if this was like ADR'd in like after the fact. But Bucky says like, oh, they stole like vaccines and stuff, and I was like, that seems a little too like connected to current. Yeah, so I wonder if they're using that to kind of tie it to the real world events, but what do you think about? Because I remember there's something that Sam says that kind of goes in line with the Flag Smashers, without realizing that it does go in line with like their philosophy, which is I forgot. It's like Walker tells him something about like the resources that they have, and how they can capture them, and then Sam says something like, "Well, that's what the person with the resources would say," or something like that, or
Yeah.
right. So and that's what the Flag Smashers are like, kind of all about, right? Because like they don't have resources, they're stealing the resources and diverting them to other people. And I was confused about like the whole philosophy of like, oh, put things the way back to the way they were before the blip. But I looked it up more, and it basically the meaning behind it is that like there's people that after the blip ceased to exist, became worse off because of the effects of the blip, and the Flag Smashers are trying to like course correct in a sense. So you know how Tony Stark, when he said like bring back everybody alive but not lose what I had, I must, right? It seems like there's people who, in a certain way, kind of like financially and other stuff, like kind of lost what they had with the people popping back into place.
Yeah.
Which is super.
You see that too when they're applying for the loan.
That's true, right? Because Sam just popped back in.
And he says, "With so many people applying, you used to qualify, but we're making cuts because 3 billion people come back into the world at once," kind of thing.
Which is crazy.
I think to your point, I wonder if they're going to do something like as far as Sam's development, because Sam is still, and you mentioned this a little bit earlier, he's still the soldier, right? And that's kind of the same journey that Captain America went through. He was a soldier, and then he just got tired of it. He was disillusioned, especially in Captain America 2: Winter Soldier, when he just completely, I'm not going to be the soldier anymore. I'm going to be my own person, right? He stopped working for the government. He started to developing a distrust of the government, came to a head in Civil War and so on. I wonder if they're going that same route. Maybe the Flag Smashers are going to start to get to Sam in that same sense. Obviously, he's not going to switch sides, but he's going to see, well, maybe they have a point. The government isn't necessarily something I want to align myself with. You can see that already starting to come to fruition with the regret that he has for giving up the shield. I shouldn't have trusted them.
Right.
So that might be something that they develop a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, even when he asked John Walker, "How were you able to track me?" and he said, "Through your, what's it called?
Red Wing. Red Wing.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
He was like,
You
"Well,
hacked
it's the
Red Wing?
government's." Yeah. So I think that too. I think he was taken back. Like,
Yeah.
Little things like that.
And what's really interesting is that the Flag Smashers are tied to this in the comics they're tied to this villain called the Power Broker, and he's the one that gave the Flag Smashers their powers. He's also the one that in the comic books gives John Walker the super soldier serum. So eventually John Walker might become like super soldier, you know.
Basically like that.
Yeah. And what's crazy though is that, as we know, right, the soldier serum kind of like enhances like everything that you are. So the fact that John Walker is a little bit of a dick means that he's gonna be like bigger of a asshole if he because like that's like the whole thing. It's like Captain America. He was self-sacrificing, selfless, and everything. So when he got the super soldier serum, not only did he become strong, but he became even more like self-sacrificial. Like staying closer to those things because it enhances everything both mentally and which is why like the Red Skull, who was evil, became more evil when he took it, right? So it's the same thing with John Walker, which will be interesting for him, and especially because if you saw, he uses like a pistol, so that's already kind of like trying to show like a visual difference between this Captain America and the last one. Although people say that Captain America used a pistol in the first movie, but he was at war, so I think that's probably a little bit different, right? Context, I would assume.
I mean, I definitely remember him using a gun, but yeah, once he got out of the war, I guess, I never really saw him with a gun again.
Right. Even though, with the way they punch people, in real life they're all dead. You know what I mean? You don't kick people around to the walls like that in Civil War and they still be alive. Like, they're all dead. Period. But which I think it's funny because like Marvel hasn't really like, they've kind of tried to address like the collateral damage they do, but they still kind of do it when they go against bad guys. Which is why a lot of the times when you go against Thanos and stuff like that, you have a lot of nameless, faceless soldiers. So that way, as an audience member, you're not like, oh shit, they're killing people, But but yeah, I just thought that was funny. But yeah, how does this episode end again? I forgot.
That episode 1?
Oh no, 2. Nah, I mean we already stopped talking about episode 1. It's because now that I think about it, not a lot happens, or a lot of that does happen. Is super connected to episode 2.
Is it?
Oh yeah, they're gonna go see Zemo.
Oh yeah.
So what do you guys think about that? Because I want to say that I didn't know that he was gonna come back for this one. I want to say I wasn't aware that they were gonna bring that character back. Like I hadn't read about it. But what do you guys think about bringing that villain back from Civil War?
That doesn't make sense. I mean, I think they put. I guess depending on where they go with the story, I think they put way too much hype into it. It was like what 2 minutes of like the camera panning down the hall, with epic classical music and stuff like that, and then you see him.
It's actually his theme from Civil War.
Okay, well, it sounded like
Didn't he say at the end like you'll need me one day or something? He said something at the end of Civil War where I felt like we were gonna see him again. I just can't remember what he told.
maybe.
What he told them. Yeah,
I
he
don't
said
remember.
something where I was like,
That's an interesting point.
yeah.
I wonder. But I mean, I think for a character who, in my opinion, is gonna come out for like 10 minutes and then not be seen again, unless they actually do something else, unless they flip it on us and he breaks out and he, does something else. I think they hyped that up a little bit too much.
Right. I get your point. Like if he doesn't play a bigger part, it kind of like all for naught.
I mean, it's not like he's, it's not like he's Ultron or something like that. Like,
right.
That's the kind of he was kind of the main villain of Civil War. He sparked everything, but Civil War was really Tony and Iron Man. So I mean, seeing Zemo again, it's interesting. Like I'm glad they're doing it, but it's not like world shattering.
Right.
But it does make sense in the story though, especially because Bucky and Zemo have such a huge history connection. Not a huge connection, but they have a connection.
Right. No, not just that, but Zemo is very much against more super soldiers. If I remember correctly, in Civil War, he's like, "You think I wanted more of you?" And he shows how he killed all the super soldiers. So
that's true.
It might be where like their interests kind of like temporarily align because Bucky also doesn't want more super soldiers as well. Like,
that's true.
especially with, I guess, John Walker I'm assuming if they stay close to the comic books, he's gonna become a super soldier at some point, which is crazy because then I'm like, how are they gonna beat him? Because is Bucky a super soldier? I'm confused about that. He is, right? Okay.
As far as I remember, it's the same serum.
Okay.
I believe it's the same serum. I could be wrong. I have to watch Winter Soldier again. It
Okay.
wouldn't be a bad thing.
No. I was just wondering. So that makes me wonder if Sam is gonna get it at some point, or if he should.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
I mean, that was my initial question. Okay, if he becomes Captain America, how can he if he doesn't have those superpowers compared to all the other heroes? So I was wondering, like, and then when John Walker became Captain America, when they were showing us to why he picked him, they show him like working out and all his stats. I was like, well, okay, but he's still missing that super strength that you need to defeat, villains.
You know what? Yeah. And you know what's interesting about that is that somebody had a theory because they're talking about the big three, right? Which I thought was funny. The wizards, aliens, or androids. Right?
Yeah.
But they say super soldiers in front of John Walker and Battlestar, and they give like a little look at each other when Sam mentions that, and some people are thinking that it means that maybe they know that they're gonna take it at some point, or like they're kind of hoping that that's not what it is. But
They've heard of it.
yeah. That, and it could also just be that they heard of it. But yeah.
In my mind, I mean, I think if Sam does take the serum, unless they do it really, really well, that would cheapen it. It would basically just be like, okay, you Captain America, right click, palette swap, switch from like white to black, and that's it.
No,
It
yeah. Because if it is Sam, in a way, he's even more Captain America than Captain America, right? Because he's like taking on that extra risk of the fact that he can't rely on his super soldier, like ability, right, to not die and like stuff like that and do reckless stuff. Although the MCU is super like iffy about what kills people, because I mean, like in Endgame, the freaking entire building was leveled and all of them are alive. And at least half of them are just regular humans. So I was like, yeah. So maybe he doesn't need a super soldier serum to, if they can survive a building like being leveled completely. Like, I thought that was so
already
fun.
a super soldier in my heart.
But it is cool, right? It's kind of like him having to struggle that extra bit, but like that kind of makes him more captain. Definitely makes him more worthy than John Walker if he takes it.
Yeah.
Especially if John Walker takes it just to kind of like, because I'm assuming that at some point maybe him and Bucky fight and Bucky beats him, and then maybe that's why he wants to get it, because Bucky does have the super soldier serum, or he just gets frustrated with being beat all the time, because they were beat, right? Like the four of them, which makes sense. But yeah. So what would you guys give these two episodes like together as a score?
I have a 9. I like the way they're going. I like the philosophy, the humility. Do I deserve it? And then the conflict that's created by John Walker coming in. Sam still doesn't think he's worthy even after John Walker comes in. But it's more like, it's not like I should have had it. It's more like, how could you do this? He's not. I like the conflict. I want them to dig. I'm looking forward to them digging deeper into Bucky, into all of his atrocities. I forgot his name, Nashima, the Japanese father.
I totally forgot about that part
Yeah.
of the episode 1. Such a cool
That
part.
was great. I'm looking forward to them digging deeper into that more, and seeing what happens. I mean, yeah, it was enjoyable. I enjoyed it. I didn't really feel like it was 50 minutes that kind of flew by, both of them. So, a 9.
Jessica?
Only because these are not my favorite side characters. But I'm sure as the episodes go on, I'll probably enjoy a lot better. But so far it's really good. I love how it does bring what's going on today into the show. And like I said, a different side of Bucky and Sam that we didn't get to see. We only saw the superhero side, and now we're seeing their humanity side and what they go through. So I think that's really great. It's very different than WandaVision, because I know you guys were talking about it. It's just like two different shows, and this one, it's more about them and their humanity and what they want to do post blip, you know.
Post
And
blip,
especially
right?
Bucky, how he
Post
really
snap.
wants to, how he
I
wants
like
to
that better.
snap. There you go.
I don't like that they called it the blip. It's
How
like
you can tell he wants to change. Yeah, it sounds weird. That sounds like what?
Yeah, but I mean,
But
at the same time, it makes sense in universe because no one was actually there to see Thanos snap. They're just like everyone just disappeared.
That's true. Although they seem to know who Thanos is. I think. I don't
But yeah,
remember.
I mean, I definitely agree with you, Jessica. I would love to see the way the direction they go. You know, I think it'll be good. I hope it'll be good.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I mean, I don't know if it was a 9, but maybe it was a 9. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's really good so far. I definitely, like I said, I like it much more so far than WandaVision. I think with WandaVision, it's like they were trying something that I personally knew is hard to pull off, and they didn't completely succeed, in my opinion. So, but this is something that's a little bit easier in the sense that you're not dealing with because WandaVision deals with like these existential crises and stuff like that. It's harder to kind of like, in my opinion, bring that to justice in terms of then versus something like that's more based in reality. Even though it can just as easily go bad, right, if they don't do it correctly. So far, though, I do think that it's pretty good so far, and yeah, I think so. I mean, I think definitely seeing all 6 together it might be a 9 out of 10 for me, especially because it feels like you're just watching another Captain America movie. Like, even though Captain America's not there, and like I told you guys, right, like it's so much tied to Steve Rogers' legacy that it feels like he has a presence in the show, even though he's not there. And you know what was really interesting? Just one thing that I will say is I'm wondering if at some point they'll go see Steve Rogers, because he's still alive, right? I mean,
as far as we know, yeah.
So they could at some point go to him and be like, "Hey, we need advice and wisdom," and you know what I mean.
I mean, if they did, that would be like the best kept secret.
I know, right? Because
honestly, I figured he was probably dead because Sam just went and turned it in. He didn't even bother telling Steve, like, "Hey, can I go?"
Oh, well, it's because it's like a real quick shot, but there's a shot where they show Captain America his biography on his like stand, and it says after the heroic sacrifice of his partner Tony Stark, Captain America, Steve Rogers decided to respect him in kind and retire from the Avengers and blah, blah, blah. So everyone knows that he's still alive, at least in the current world, but everyone knows that he's retired, basically.
That's true, because they were asking, that soldier asked Bucky, right? No.
Isaiah?
That where was, if he was in the moon, right, or something like that. Yeah, they were trying to figure out where he... Yeah, you're right.
That's true, I forgot about that. But yeah, cool.
Maybe even just unplugged. I mean, like off the grid, because... Could be.
I can totally see them, like, kind of like losing miserably, like by episode 4, and then like in need of like guidance, and they go to him like in episode 5, and like he reminds them why he chose him to be Captain America and why he gave him the shield, and that like invigorates Sam to like
Do you think they'll do it like that, or they'll do what they do with a lot of other shows that kind of follow the same formula? Like in season 1 of Supergirl, you guys have seen Supergirl. Like Superman doesn't come out, but he sends little notes and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this is a message from Clark.
Oh, I get what. I hope they don't do that. That would suck. If it's like, oh, it's a message from Steve Rogers. He's telling me that he gave. I hope they don't do that. That would suck. Oh man, that would. Imagine it's like a Zoom call. Hey Sam, I just wanted to tell you that
Yeah.
I can't hear you.
He just starts sucking slow motions. That's all. The only thing I can think of, they might not put him back in there at all, because
Could
they
be.
still hope that someday, so this is Marvel as a studio, they would hope that he would come back.
Yeah, Chris Evans.
Chris Evans. So like, I think putting him in the modern day as old Steve Rogers would crush that. You know what I mean?
But maybe
unless they find some other way to bring back a young Steve Rogers.
maybe it's already crushed.
I mean, it might be. So, but like, I think there's still, at least I don't know what's going on in Marvel Studios, but if there is any hope that he does eventually decide, okay, I'm ready again, then showing old Steve Rogers would be really tough to come back from that.
Yeah, I could see that.
Well, let's hope your dreams are crushed. Nah, it's fine. Yeah, so I think that's it. Do you guys have anything else to say? No. Yeah.
Out of my head, no?
So that's what we thought about Falcon and Winter Soldier first 2 episodes. You guys can let us know what you think in the comments or whatever, whether you liked it or maybe you hated it. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. But yeah, and then next time we will do Kong and Justice League. So that should be fun, I hope. But hold on. Let me stop recording.